My name is Dwayne Jansen, and I am a beekeeper from St. Charles County, Missouri. I was doing some work in a building one time and found a colony of honeybees living in the building. I talked to the owner about it, and they said, well, don't worry about it, we'll call an exterminator. And I immediately said, no, give me 1 week, I'll figure out how to get the bees out. So I did. I got the bees out, and what I thought was, a really big colony of bees really wasn't. But that was my first adult experience as beekeeping, and it's just taken off from there. When I was young and saw the hives that my uncle had, I thought it was pretty easy. You put the bees in the box, let them make the honey and get the honey out. Couldn't be any easier than that, right? There's actually a fair amount of work involved in beekeeping. When I first look into a hive, I'm actually looking for several things. I'm looking to find out if there's a queen in there, because if there's not a queen, the hive's not going to survive. I want to find eggs. I don't necessarily look for the queen every time, but if I see eggs in the hive, I know that I've had a queen in there within 3 days, and I'm not worried about that. I want to make sure they're bringing in pollen to feed young bees. I want to see if they're producing honey, and do they need more room, because as you go into the year with the bees in the hive, you add more boxes to give them more room. And they store honey, they store the pollen in there, and the queen lays eggs and raises young bees. So with bees being pollinators, and they make the honey from the nectar in the various plants that they feed upon, the honey can vary not only in taste but in color. Depending on what the bees feed on is going to be reflected in the taste of the honey. Spring honey is usually lighter in color, just based upon the plants that are blooming at the time. And we do check the moisture content. You want the moisture content to be at the right percent. Summer honey is usually darker, and there is a difference in taste for sure. So when you go to the store, the local grocery store, and you buy some honey, you're getting some honey with that, but you're also most likely getting a very high percentage of high fructose corn syrup, but yet we're allowed to call that honey. If you get local honey, it's going to come from a local beekeeper. It's going to have pollen in there, little bits of pollen that are from your area. So that pollen is going to be from different flowers and plants that are around you, whether you're at your house or you're at work or the park or wherever. And because you're getting that pollen through the honey, that's what a lot of people like local honey for, is to help with allergies, and that's how that helps. And so locally produced honey is definitely a lot better than store-bought. It's 100% real honey. We take pride in our honey, and not only do we keep our spring and our fall harvests separate, but we keep our harvests between each bee yard separate. Now, they're all in the same pollen zone, but if someone says, well, I want honey from O'Fallon, then I can give them honey from the O'Fallon bee yard. If they say, well, I live in Wentzville, I can give them honey from the Wentzville bee yards. So we keep that separate. We don't heat our honey and run it through a high pressure filter. When you heat the honey up that high, it basically pasteurizes. It kills off all the good things that are in the honey, and you don't want that to happen. We don't add any high fructose corn syrup. We don't add anything to the honey. We take it straight from the hive. We do strain it to get chunks of wax out, but other than that, it goes straight into the bottle, and then we bottle it and take it to the customer.